Yikes, Colleen. Yikes. Okay. People were asking me, why do you think Colleen all of a sudden is speaking out? And I'm like, it's because her text messages with Justin Baldoni came out. And for some reason, she thought this was the best way to deal with that. So there were two articles, and so I'm just going to pull quotes that I was discussing with people via DM about it. And yeah, so I'll just read you the quotes. Colleen, why? She gives this little cryptic ditty. I have my own story I could tell, but I don't want to bring attention to it. Literally, you just brought up you have a story to tell. That, in essence, brings attention to it. And you not telling us what the story is then makes us just fill in the blanks or assume things. You shouldn't have even brought it up if you were not wanting to bring attention to this untold story that you could be telling, but you decided not to tell. And I don't want to have to put someone else down to lift myself up. You again just told us something by just doing that. You're saying that you think someone's putting someone down to lift themselves up. Who's that? I mean, it could go either way, right, Colleen? You could be saying that that's about Justin putting down Blake or Blake putting down Justin. But since you took Blake's side, this just ends up being a rib towards Justin. Because you're not willing to clarify, because you're not willing to tell whatever this story is that you want to tell, but you won't tell because you don't want to put someone down to lift someone else up. So I'd rather just ignore it and let people think and say what they're going to say. If you were going to ignore it, why are you even talking about it? I'll show you what ignoring is what you've been doing for months. You've been ignoring it. You haven't spoken up about it, but now, lo and behold, you want to talk about it? Is it because and I do think it's because we read your text messages. And you thought this was a good damage control, but it's not. The book was inspired by my mother's story, and now it gives us PTSD to think about it. I feel awful because I almost feel like she's gone through more with the aftermath of this film, more pain than she went through with my dad, just seeing the ugliness of it. Okay? I'm sorry. That feels like straight out of a Blake Lively playbook. Wasn't Blake Lively saying to Megan Twohey, I've had worse sexual harassment experiences on other sets. And I wasn't even going to go public with it, but it was just like until this alleged smear campaign, because this alleged smear campaign is so much worse than the alleged like sexual harassment I experienced. Right? Well, she didn't say alleged, right? Because she's just declaring as a truth. But now Colleen Hoover saying the same thing, that this aftermath is worse than what her mother went through with her dad, who was abusive. Now, I get it. You know, I guess. But that was her spouse. These are a bunch of strangers you could literally mute and block and do something with. And you don't ever have to even know people are talking. And you've been doing that. You have been playing that game for months now. But now that we have some of your text messages, now you have to get on. I'm not going to talk about it while you talk about it. This little ditty right here, Reminders of Him, which will premiere in March from Universal, is one of several adaptations of Hoover's books headed to the big screen, but it is the first film that she has co-written and co-produced. And in parentheses, she was also in set for all 5 months of filming and got to sit in during the editing process. So again, it feels like a little bit of a slight, right? Is this how Blake got you? She got you into the editing room, part of the editing process. Is this why you said she advocated for you on Book Bonanza? Because she says that you were in the edit room with her? Is this what it's all about? And also, is this a little poke about like you were barely on It Ends With Us set, even though you keep changing the amount of days you were on the set? I've heard you say 4. I've heard you say 2. I've heard you say, I don't know what other numbers, but it changes. And I just want to know why you don't want to commit to how many days you were on that set. We've never made a big deal out of it or made an announcement about her production company. We've just kind of been quietly buying up things. Hmm. Shell companies, maybe. Van Zandt, maybe. Ryan Reynolds, maybe. Just kidding. I'm just playing about that. I'm always looking. I read a lot. Unlike Blake, and you thought it was great she wasn't reading. And I'm annoyed if I'm like if I like something and then find out I missed buying the rights by a week. As annoyed as you realize that you didn't have the rights back to your books and you'll never get the right back to those books that you sold Justin Baldoni. Is that why you and Blake were like, winkety wink, if I get my rights back? And right there in another parentheses, they love to drop the little T in the parentheses. When she sold the rights to those 3 books, she didn't understand her contract or that she'd never get them back. That's 100% completely my fault. One thing that I agree with you there, Colleen, yes, that's 100% completely your fault. But after that, I decided not to sell anymore. Instead, you wanted to go ahead and co-sign a takeover because Blake Lively couldn't have taken over that movie without your little handy dandy signature on it. I feel like it's so big at this point that there's nothing anyone can say to change whatever opinion people have of it, even though no one has the actual truth, not even me. I mean, is it because Blake Lively fed you a bunch of lies and then you're realizing that she fed you a bunch of lies and that you chose the wrong side? If there is supposed, I mean, nobody's 100% ever right or wrong, but I'm saying you definitely chose the wrong percentage, I guess.